Genesis chapter 2 describes the location of the Garden of Eden in relationship to 4 rivers. 3 of these rivers are known, and 1 is a mystery, the lost river of Eden, so to speak.
Has modern science finally uncovered the location of the biblical Garden of Eden? For centuries, scholars and explorers have searched in vain for the legendary paradise and its mysterious rivers. Now, a groundbreaking discovery in the Arabian desert may have solved one of history's greatest mysteries. Satellite imagery has revealed an ancient, massive riverbed snaking across the Arabian Peninsula. Could this be the long-lost Pishon River mentioned in Genesis? What clues connect this dried-up waterway to the biblical narrative? Join us as we dissect the theories about the Garden of Eden's Pishon River that has just been found, the Book of Genesis and the Garden of Eden. The Book of Genesis, the first chapter of the Hebrew Bible, has an important position in religious and cultural history. Its name, borrowed from Greek, means origin or beginning, which accurately describes its substance. This book establishes the context for the whole biblical narrative by exposing readers to the creation of the world and the early history of humanity. The fascinating story of the Garden of Eden is at the center of Genesis. For millennia, this story has captivated people's minds, influencing beliefs and generating an endless stream of artistic and literary creations. The Garden of Eden is a representation of a paradise, a flawless setting that God made as the first place where humans lived. According to the biblical account, God formed the first man, Adam, from the dust of the ground and breathed life into him. He then created Eve as Adam's companion. The two lived in harmony with nature and in close communion with God in this idyllic garden. The description of Eden paints a picture of lush beauty and abundance. It was a place where every need was met, where humans lived in perfect relationships with their Creator and with the natural world around them. The garden was filled with trees pleasing to the eye and good for food, including the tree of life and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. One of the most fascinating aspects of the Eden narrative is its geographical description. Genesis provides details about the garden's location, mentioning 4 rivers that flowed from it. 3 of these rivers, the Gihon, Hiddekel, identified as the Tigris, and Euphrates, are known to us. The 4th, the Pishon, remains a mystery that has puzzled scholars and explorers for centuries. The story takes a dramatic turn with the introduction of the serpent, who tempts Eve to eat fruit from the forbidden tree of knowledge. This act of disobedience, shared with Adam, leads to their expulsion from Eden. This event, known as the Fall, marks a critical moment in the biblical narrative, explaining the entry of sin and death into the world and the separation between humanity and God. The Garden of Eden story serves multiple purposes within the biblical text. It explains the origins of the world and humanity, establishes the concept of free will and moral choice, and establishes the foundational relationship between God and humans. It also introduces themes that resound throughout the rest of the Bible, such as temptation, sin, punishment, and the promise of redemption. Despite its ancient origins, the Eden narrative continues to hold relevance in modern times. It raises profound questions about human nature, morality, and our relationship with the divine and the natural world. The story has been interpreted in countless ways across different cultures and time periods, fitting as a rich source of philosophical and theological reflection. The search for the historical location of Eden has also captivated researchers and adventurers. While many view the story as symbolic, others have sought to pinpoint its geographical location based on the river descriptions in Genesis. This quest has led to fascinating discoveries about ancient river systems and geographies, blending biblical studies with geology and archaeology. In essence, the Book of Genesis and its account of the Garden of Eden provide a foundational narrative that has shaped religious thought, cultural understanding, and human self-reflection for thousands of years. Whether viewed as literal history or profound allegory, its impact on human civilization is undeniable. 4 mythical rivers run from paradise, but where do they go? Discover the mystery of Eden's topography and its deep implications. What might these ancient rivers reveal about humanity's origins? Stay tuned as we explore this biblical riddle, the four rivers of Eden and the garden's significance. The Garden of Eden is shown in vivid detail in the book of Genesis, where it is described as both a physical place defined by four major rivers and a paradise of divine creation. Scholars, theologians, and explorers have long been captivated by this account because it provides intriguing hints regarding the possible location of this mythological garden. According to Genesis, a river flowed out of Eden to water the garden, and from there, it divided into four headwaters. These four rivers were named the Pishon, Gihon, Hiddekel now identified as the Tigris, and Euphrates. While the Tigris and Euphrates are well-known rivers in Mesopotamia, the locations of the Pishon and Gihon have remained elusive, sparking centuries of debate and exploration. The Pishon River has captivated the interest of numerous people. According to Genesis, it wound through the whole of Havilah's land, which was rich in gold. The text goes on to say that onyx and aromatic resin were also found in that country, and that the gold there was excellent. This thorough description has inspired many to look for a river that fits these criteria. Theories include ancient water systems in other regions of the Middle East, to dried-up riverbeds in Arabia. The Pishon River's mystery reminds us of the garden's dual role in biblical tradition, that of being both a physical location and a representation of a paradise gone. The relevance of the Garden of Eden in theological and cultural contexts may be understood primarily via an appreciation of this duality. Eden, as described in Genesis, was a place of perfect harmony. It represented an ideal state of existence where humans lived in direct communion with God, free from toil, pain, and death. The garden was abundantly fruitful, providing for all needs without requiring laborious cultivation. This depiction of Eden has shaped human concepts of paradise across various cultures and religions. The significance of the Garden of Eden extends beyond its physical description. It serves as the setting for foundational biblical narratives that explore themes of innocence, temptation, free will, and the consequences of disobedience. The story of Adam and Eve's fall from grace in the garden is central to many theological discussions about the nature of sin, human morality, and our relationship with the divine. Moreover, the Garden of Eden represents a lost ideal, a state of perfection that humanity strives to reclaim or recreate. This concept has influenced not only religious thought, but also philosophy, literature, and even urban planning throughout history. The idea of a perfect garden has inspired the creation of parks, botanical gardens, and utopian communities. The four rivers flowing from Eden can be seen as symbolic of God's provision spreading out into the world. They remind us that even after the expulsion from Eden, traces of paradise continue to nourish the earth. The rivers connect the holy land of Eden with the mortal world outside of it, particularly the mysterious Pishon. The fact that people are still trying to find the Pishon River and the exact site of Eden is evidence of our continued obsession with this ancient paradise. The Garden of Eden and its four rivers, whether taken as a literal account of events or as a deep metaphor, never fail to pique our curiosity and inspire us to reflect on our role in the universe and our connection with God. Where on earth was paradise? From Mesopotamia to Africa, explorers have searched for Eden's location for centuries. Could modern science finally solve this age-old riddle? Join us as we embark on a thrilling quest to find the Garden of Eden. Theories about the location of the Garden of Eden. The search for the geographical location of the Garden of Eden has captivated scholars, theologians, and explorers for centuries. While many view the biblical account as allegorical, others have sought to pinpoint its physical location based on the descriptions provided in the book of Genesis. This quest has led to numerous theories, each with its own merits and challenges. One of the most enduring theories places the Garden of Eden in the region of Mesopotamia, specifically in southern Iraq. This theory is based on the mention of the Tigris and Euphrates rivers in Genesis, both of which flow through modern-day Iraq. Proponents of this theory argue that the confluence of these rivers, near the Persian Gulf, could have been the site of Eden. The fertile land between these rivers, known as the Fertile Crescent, has been a cradle of civilization for thousands of years, lending credence to the idea that it could have been the location of a primordial paradise. Another popular theory situates Eden in the Armenian highlands. This region, which includes parts of eastern Turkey, Armenia, and western Iran, is where the Tigris and Euphrates rivers originate. Supporters of this theory argue that the high elevation and pleasant climate of this area match the biblical description of Eden as the source of 4 rivers. They also point to the rich biodiversity of the region as evidence of its paradisiacal nature. Some researchers have proposed more exotic locations for Eden. One theory places it in the Persian Gulf, suggesting that it was submerged at the end of the last ice age when sea levels rose. This theory attempts to reconcile the biblical account with geological evidence of ancient river systems that once flowed through what is now the Gulf. Others have looked to Africa as a potential site for Eden. Some researchers have suggested that the garden might have been located in the Great Rift Valley, pointing to the region's importance in human evolution and its rich biodiversity. However, this theory faces challenges in reconciling the African location with the rivers mentioned in Genesis. A more recent theory, proposed by archaeologist David Rohl, places Eden in Iran, near the city of Tabriz. Rohl argues that this location matches the biblical description of the 4 rivers and the surrounding geography. He suggests that changes in the terrain over millennia, including the drying up of ancient riverbeds, have obscured the original geography described in Genesis. Some scholars have looked even further afield, proposing locations as diverse as the Tarim Basin in western China, the island of Bahrain in the Persian Gulf, and even places in North and South America. These theories often rely on reinterpretations of the biblical text or correlations with other ancient myths and legends. It's important to note that many biblical scholars and theologians view the search for a physical Eden as misguided. They argue that the Garden of Eden story is not meant to be understood as literal geography, but as a powerful metaphor for humanity's relationship with God and the natural world. The diverse theories about Eden's location reflect not only different interpretations of the biblical text, but also varying approaches to reconciling ancient narratives with modern scientific understanding. While the search for a physical Eden continues to fascinate many, others find value in exploring the story's spiritual and philosophical meanings. Ultimately, whether Eden was a real place or a symbolic representation, its significance in shaping human thought and culture is undeniable. Gold, precious stones, and aromatic resins. Welcome to the fabled land of Havilah. But where was this biblical treasure trove? Could it be hiding in plain sight on the Arabian Peninsula? Let's unearth the fascinating connection. The land of Havilah and its connection to the Arabian Peninsula. The land of Havilah, mentioned in the book of Genesis, has long delighted biblical scholars and historians. Its significance stems from its association with the mysterious Pishon River, one of the 4 rivers described as flowing from the Garden of Eden. Understanding Havilah's location is crucial in the quest to solve the geographical puzzle of Eden and its rivers. Genesis describes Havilah as a land rich in natural resources, particularly gold of exceptional quality. The biblical text also mentions the presence of aromatic resin and onyx in this region. These details have led researchers to search for areas in the ancient Near East that match this description of abundant mineral wealth. Many scholars and researchers have come to believe that the land of Havilah likely corresponds to the Arabian Peninsula, specifically the area that is now Saudi Arabia. This connection is based on several compelling pieces of evidence and historical data. Firstly, the Arabian Peninsula, particularly its western region, has been known for its gold deposits since ancient times. The presence of gold aligns with the biblical description of Havilah. In fact, Saudi Arabia is home to the largest gold mine in the Middle East, known as the Ma'd ad-Dahab, or Cradle of Gold. This mine, along with numerous others in the region, has been actively producing gold for thousands of years, fitting the portrayal of Havilah as a gold-rich land. The mention of aromatic resin in Havilah also corresponds well with the Arabian Peninsula. The region has long been famous for its production of frankincense and myrrh, aromatic resins that were highly valued in the ancient world. These resins were traded along the famous incense route, which ran from southern Arabia northward, passing through the very areas that some researchers identify as potential locations for the biblical Havilah. The presence of onyx, another resource mentioned in connection with Havilah, further strengthens the Arabian connection. Various types of semi-precious stones, including onyx, have been found and mined in the Arabian Peninsula throughout history. Geographically, Havilah's positioning in relation to other lands mentioned in Genesis also supports its identification with Arabia. The biblical text describes Havilah as being located east of Egypt and in the direction of Assyria, which aligns well with the location of the Arabian Peninsula. Another piece of evidence supporting this connection comes from ancient Near Eastern texts. Some scholars have suggested that the name Havilah might be related to the term Howlan, which appears in ancient South Arabian inscriptions and refers to a region in Yemen. The identification of Havilah with the Arabian Peninsula has significant implications for the search for the Pishon River, and by extension, the location of the Garden of Eden, if Havilah indeed corresponds to Arabia. It suggests that the Pishon might have been an ancient river system that once flowed through the Arabian Peninsula. This theory has gained support from geological studies that have identified ancient dried-up riverbeds crossing the Arabian desert. Satellite imagery and ground surveys have revealed the existence of these paleo-channels, suggesting that the climate of the Arabian Peninsula was once much wetter, capable of supporting large river systems. While the exact boundaries of the biblical Havilah remain a subject of debate, the connection to the Arabian Peninsula offers a compelling framework for understanding this ancient land. It provides a geographical context that aligns with both the biblical description and archaeological evidence, helping to bridge the gap between ancient texts and modern scientific understanding. The ongoing research into Havilah and its possible location in Arabia continues to shed light on the historical geography of the ancient Near East, offering fascinating insights into the world described in the early chapters of Genesis. A hidden river in the desert? Dr. Farouk El-Baz's groundbreaking discovery shook the scientific world. How did he spot this ancient waterway from space? And what secrets does it hold? Prepare to be amazed as we reveal the truth. Dr. Farouk El-Baz's discovery of an ancient riverbed in Arabia. In the late 1980s and early 1990s, the scientific community was captivated by a groundbreaking discovery made by Dr. Farouk El-Baz, an Egyptian-American scientist and geologist. Using satellite imagery, El-Baz identified what appeared to be a massive ancient riverbed stretching across the Arabian Peninsula. This discovery would revolutionize our knowledge of the region's paleohydrology and potentially provide new insights into biblical geography. Dr. El-Baz, renowned for his work with NASA and his expertise in remote sensing, was studying satellite images of the Arabian Peninsula when he noticed unusual patterns in the desert landscape. These patterns, visible from space, suggested the presence of a long-dried riverbed snaking its way across the peninsula. The ancient river system, locally known as Wadi Ruma, appeared to originate in the Hijaz Mountains of western Saudi Arabia and flow eastward towards the Persian Gulf. The scale of this discovery was immense. The riverbed, at its widest points, measured up to 3 miles across, indicating that it once carried a significant volume of water. This finding was particularly striking, given the current arid climate of the Arabian Peninsula. It suggested that the region had experienced a much wetter climate in the distant past, capable of supporting large river systems and potentially lush vegetation. To confirm his satellite-based observations, Dr. El-Baz organized and led several ground expeditions to the Arabian Peninsula. These field studies provided crucial evidence supporting the existence of the ancient river system. Researchers found water-smoothed pebbles, typical of those found in riverbeds, scattered across vast stretches of desert. These pebbles, originating from the Hijaz Mountains, had been transported hundreds of miles by the river's flow, offering tangible proof of the river's existence and its course. The discovery of this ancient river system had profound implications for our understanding of the Arabian Peninsula's geological and climatic history. It suggested that the region had undergone significant climate changes over the past hundreds of thousands of years, alternating between periods of humidity and aridity. This insight has been crucial in reconstructing the environmental conditions that may have influenced human migration and settlement patterns in prehistoric times. Moreover, Elbaz's findings sparked renewed interest in the search for the biblical Pishon River. Some researchers, including archaeologist James Sauer, proposed that this newly discovered ancient riverbed could potentially be identified with the enigmatic Pishon mentioned in the book of Genesis. This connection, if proven, would offer a geographical context for the biblical description of Eden and its surroundings. The methodology employed by Dr. Elbaz in this discovery highlighted the power of remote sensing technologies in archaeological and geological research. By combining satellite imagery with ground-based observations, researchers were able to uncover land features that had been hidden for millennia beneath the desert sands. Dr. Elbaz's work also emphasized the importance of interdisciplinary approaches in scientific research. His background in geology, coupled with expertise in space exploration technologies, allowed him to bring a unique perspective to the study of Earth's surface features. The discovery of this ancient Arabian river system continues to influence research in various fields, from geology and climatology to archaeology and biblical studies. It reminds us of the dynamic nature of Earth and the potential for modern technologies to unlock secrets of the distant past. As we continue to learn more about this ancient river system, Dr. Elbaz's finding exemplifies the power of scientific curiosity and the continuing human drive to comprehend our planet's history and the stories that are knitted into its environment. Could a long-lost river be the key to unlocking Eden's location? James Sauer thinks so. How does his theory connect modern discoveries with ancient texts? Join us as we explore this exciting hypothesis and its profound implications. James Sauer's analysis connecting the discovered riverbed to the biblical Pishon. Following Dr. Farouk Elbaz's groundbreaking discovery of an ancient riverbed in Arabia, archaeologist James Sauer proposed a compelling theory that connected this geological finding to the biblical narrative. Sauer's analysis suggested that the newly discovered river system could potentially be identified as the mysterious Pishon River mentioned in the book of Genesis. James Sauer, an American archaeologist with extensive experience in Near Eastern archaeology, was intrigued by the implications of Elbaz's discovery. He recognized that this ancient river system, which once flowed across the Arabian Peninsula, could potentially solve one of the longest-standing mysteries in biblical geography, the location of the Pishon River. Sauer's analysis began with a careful examination of the biblical text. In Genesis, the Pishon is described as one of the 4 rivers flowing from Eden, winding through the entire land of Havilah, where there is gold. The text also mentions that the gold of that land is good, and that aromatic resin and onyx are found there. Sauer noted that these descriptions align remarkably well with what we know about the Arabian Peninsula, both in terms of its geology and its historical resources. The archaeologist pointed out that the course of the ancient river discovered by Elbaz matches the biblical description of the Pishon in several key aspects. Firstly, its origin in the Hijaz Mountains and its eastward flow towards the Persian Gulf correspond with the general direction one would expect for a river flowing from the region traditionally associated with Eden. Moreover, Sauer highlighted that the Arabian Peninsula, particularly its western regions, has been known for its gold deposits since ancient times. The presence of gold mines in this area, some of which have been in operation for millennia, aligns with the biblical description of Havilah as a land rich in gold. The mention of good gold in Genesis could be interpreted as referring to the high-quality gold found in these Arabian deposits. Sauer also noted that the Arabian Peninsula has historically been a source of aromatic resins, particularly frankincense and myrrh. These valuable commodities were traded along the famous incense route, which ran through the very regions that the ancient river would have traversed. This correlation further strengthened the connection between the discovered riverbed and the biblical Pishon. In his analysis, Sauer proposed that climatic changes over thousands of years could explain why the Pishon River is no longer visible today. He suggested that the river likely flowed during a period when the Arabian Peninsula experienced a much wetter climate, possibly during the last ice age or shortly thereafter. As the climate became more arid, the river gradually dried up, leaving behind only the subtle traces that modern technology has been able to detect. Sauer's theory gained attention in both archaeological and biblical studies circles. It offered a potential solution to the long-standing question of the Pishon's location and provided a geographical context for understanding the early chapters of Genesis. His work demonstrated how archaeological discoveries and geological findings could be integrated with textual analysis to shed new light on ancient narratives. However, Sauer was careful to present his ideas as a hypothesis rather than a definitive conclusion. He acknowledged that while the evidence was compelling, further research would be necessary to conclusively identify the discovered riverbed as the biblical Pishon. Sauer's analysis has ignited ongoing debate and research in the fields of biblical archaeology and ancient Near Eastern studies. It has encouraged scholars to reconsider traditional interpretations of biblical geography and to explore new avenues for understanding the physical context of ancient texts. Whether or not the discovered riverbed is ultimately proven to be the Pishon, Sauer's work has significantly contributed to our understanding of the interplay between ancient texts, archaeology, and geology in reconstructing the past. Smooth pebbles in the desert tell a story of rushing waters. What other clues have geologists uncovered about this mysterious ancient river? Don't go anywhere. Geological evidence of the ancient river's flow and characteristics. The discovery of the ancient riverbed in Arabia has been supported by a wealth of geological evidence, providing insights into its flow patterns and characteristics. This evidence not only confirms the existence of the river, but also offers a glimpse into the environmental conditions of the Arabian Peninsula in the distant past. One of the most compelling pieces of evidence comes from the distribution of water-smoothed pebbles along the course of the ancient riverbed. These pebbles, found scattered across vast stretches of what is now desert, bear the unmistakable marks of prolonged water erosion. Their smooth, rounded surfaces are characteristic of stones that have been tumbled and transported by flowing water over long distances. Geologists have conducted detailed analyses of these pebbles, examining their composition and origin. Many of the stones can be traced back to the Hijaz Mountains in western Saudi Arabia, where the river is believed to have originated. The presence of these pebbles hundreds of miles from their source provides strong evidence of the river's flow and its ability to transport materials over long distances. The composition of the pebbles varies along the course of the riverbed, offering clues about the river's tributaries and the geological formations it passed through. Researchers have identified granite, basalt, and quartz among the pebble types, each telling a part of the story of the river's journey across the land. Satellite imagery and ground-based surveys have revealed the impressive scale of the ancient river system. At its widest points, the riverbed spans up to 3 miles across, suggesting a powerful flow capable of carving a significant channel through the land. The river's course can be traced for hundreds of miles, winding its way from the mountains towards the Persian Gulf. Sediment analysis along the riverbed has provided further evidence of the river's characteristics. Layers of silt and sand deposits tell the story of seasonal variations in flow, with coarser materials indicating periods of stronger currents and finer sediments, suggesting calmer flow conditions. In some areas, researchers have identified alluvial fans, fan-shaped deposits of sediment that form where a river emerges from an area of higher elevation onto a flatter plain. These features offer insights into the river's behavior as it transitioned between different terrains. Geological dating techniques have been employed to estimate the age of the river system. While precise dating remains challenging, evidence suggests that the river was active during periods of increased humidity in the region, possibly correlating with glacial and interglacial cycles over the past several 100,000 years. The discovery of ancient lake beds along the river's course provides evidence of a more complex hydrological system. These lakes would have formed in depressions where the river's flow was impeded, creating bodies of standing water that supported diverse ecosystems. Paleobotanical evidence including fossilized plant remains and pollen samples, offers glimpses of the vegetation that once thrived along the riverbanks. This data suggests a much greener land than the current desert environment, with evidence of trees and shrubs that require significantly more water than is present in the region today. Geochemical analysis of sediments has revealed traces of minerals and organic materials that provide clues about the river's water chemistry and the ecosystems it supported. These findings help researchers reconstruct the environmental conditions that prevailed when the river was flowing. Geological data suggests that a strong river system had an important influence in sculpting the Arabian Peninsula's terrain. It implies a vastly different temperature and ecology than what we observe now, with implications for understanding human migratory patterns and the rise of early civilizations in the region. As research continues, new technologies and analytical methods are likely to yield even more detailed insights into the characteristics and history of this ancient river system, further enriching our understanding of the region's geological history. Thanks for watching. Like this video, leave comments, and subscribe to our channel for more updates. And while you're still here, click the video on your screen for more mind-blowing videos.